If you have ever tried to sell your art at an art festival or an open studio tour, maybe even in a gallery setting, you've likely found yourself doing some prejudgment of the people that you are encountering. Judgment is a human trait. We all fall prey to it. It probably has some evolutionary purpose that has carried over into our day-to-day lives now. And certainly the longer you've been selling art, the more likely you are to think that you're pretty good at sizing people up. What I have found over the years is that we're probably not as good as we think we are. And more importantly, it can be very dangerous to prejudge our potential customers. I'm Jason Horsch, owner of Xanadu Gallery in Scottsdale, Arizona, and publisher of Red Dot Blog. And today I want to talk about the importance of not prejudging our potential customers. I've had numerous experiences over the years where folks who I thought were likely to buy something didn't. We've all had those. But more importantly, I've had some experiences where I was fairly certain that someone who came into the gallery was not going to buy something but ended up buying. And those experiences have been instructive. I think of a couple of examples in particular. When I first started in the business, I was working in a gallery in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. And Jackson is a resort town. You get people from all over the world. And you get a lot of people who are very casual tourists and folks who are just out wandering around looking to kill some time. But you also get some highly qualified potential buyers through, and it can be very difficult to tell the difference. And one afternoon, as I was in the gallery, a gentleman came through the front door, and this gentleman did not look like a buyer. He had apparently come in off the river after doing some fly fishing. His clothes were not high end. As I recall, his shoes were falling apart. And hair was unkempt and just was not the kind of person you might expect to be a purchaser. But I proceeded to greet him and interact with him, show him around the gallery, talk about the artists, and engage with him as fully as I could. To my surprise, after spending some time looking around the gallery, he ended up selecting a number of significant artworks and making a very large purchase. And while we were checking out, he mentioned to me that he would never again be frequenting the gallery next door to ours because they had treated him very poorly based on his appearance. And it turned out, as I found out who this customer was, it was an executive in a large company that we all have heard of, and taught me a very important lesson about not prejudging. And a second similar incident occurred in my own gallery here in Arizona when an older woman, not well dressed, drove up in front of the gallery in a beat up import. Certainly not what you might typically think of when you think of the stereotypes of people who buy art. And again, we were shown that our prejudgment was mistaken as she ended up purchasing a $3,000 bronze sculpture, which I got to carry out to her car and place in the trunk. And boy, the car was really beat up. There was a lot of junk, just things you wouldn't anticipate with art buyers. But it turns out that people from many different walks of life with many different attitudes and proclivities, habits, end up being interested in art and making purchases. The point is, you can just never tell. And I've never had the experience that treating someone well and putting forth our best efforts is misplaced or wasted. Certainly, the vast majority of people who end up coming into the gallery don't end up making a purchase and may never be customers. But what harm has it done for me to treat them well and to engage with them, to keep my skills sharp as I tell them about the artists and introduce them to the gallery, and to just put forth my very best effort? And I can't remember who it was that said that 80% of advertising dollars are wasted. I just don't know which 80% it is. I think that there is a very similar sentiment that we could hold towards our sales efforts. The vast majority of our efforts are going to be misplaced. But if we put forth 100% of our effort, When we happen upon those customers who are interested in buying, we're now going to have the opportunity to serve them well and make those sales that we would not have otherwise made. And so my encouragement to you is that in spite of the fact that selling can be very challenging and exhausting, and it can be hard to put your best foot forward, make a commitment to yourself that from here on out, you are going to treat every single person with whom you engage about your artwork on an equal footing. They deserve it. You deserve it. And as you do, you're going to have much better experiences in selling your art. What about you? Have you had experiences that have surprised you with customers? Have you encountered someone who you put forth more effort than maybe you would have prejudged them to deserve, and have you ended up being rewarded by that? Please share your experiences in the comments below. And if you enjoy this content and want more art business insights, be sure to like, follow, or subscribe. I'll look forward to seeing you in the next video.